on the Talkline network.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
And we're back. Amudim does wonderful, amazing work. Rabbi Zvi Gluck joins us, CEO of Amudim. They deal with addictions and abuse and mental health and trauma. So, Rabbi Zvi Gluck, thank you. Shavua Tov. Thank you for being part of our show.
Hi, Shavua Tov. It's always a pleasure seeing you.
You know, I have to say that I know you for so many years. It's unfortunately you're so busy. There is more and more need for your services. People call you day and night. So I think things have changed. I think people are more willing to be helped. But your work has grown so much so over the last number of years, right?
So it's actually interesting you should say it that way. I had this discussion with Rebellia Brittany a while ago, and I was complaining. I was like, oh, it's too much already. It's overwhelming, and so many people have problems, and it's so sad. And he looks at me and he says, no, you have to look at it this way. It's not that so many more people have problems. They don't. It's people are finally comfortable to reach out and ask for help, and we got to be there to help them. So we try very hard to focus on, the wins, as we call it, and not the losses and the positives. And that's really what keeps us going. And really more the staff more than me. But yes, it has become increasingly busier, we'll call it. I won't say harder because that's part of the job, but it's become much busier.
Well, I think with society changed with the internet and people are depressed and you have all kinds of maladies affecting the community at large. It affects our community as well. So you're dealing with that in the frum community, especially whether it's suicide, some other issues that I know that have to be dealt with. So you're not only involved in helping them, but also preventive, trying to get them to a situation where they shouldn't lead to it.
Right. So I say this all the time. Putting out fires is important, and every community needs a fire department. But if we can avoid the fires in the first place, we would all be much happier. And the truth is that, for the first few years, our large focus was heavily on the fires. It was primarily dealing, with just the people that were coming in and reaching out for help. And we haven't slowed that down, but we have added into what we deal with some amazing prevention, programming, whether it's school-based programming, whether it's, PSA videos that we've put online, awareness events. I will say this past year has been very, very difficult by way of all that's been going on in the world, that we have not had a chance to do anywhere near as much, PR. And you know this yourself. I haven't really been on the show at all with you in a long time.
Right.
We simply just don't have the time. And at the same time, our needs have increased, whether it's, the work that we do, on a daily basis with victims of abuse, sexual abuse, those struggling with addictions, mental health issues. And it's been compounded by having to, and we're not complaining, we're just stating it. I'm very careful to say that. But with all that's going on in Israel, we have an office in Israel that's fully staffed. We have a full mental health clinic in Israel in partnership with YU. And we're just completely overwhelmed. Plus, we've added into our services for English-speaking lone soldiers and their families, we've added in so many more services available to them, whether it's going to be, sessions, remote sessions with English-speaking therapists, clinicians, and it's just been so much. But at the same exact time, donations are down because there are so many issues, both between the economy, inflation, people not having as much, and people that do have are spreading themselves so thin. And Baruch Hashem, they're doing it. Mika Amchi Yisrael, that the support that is being given to our brothers and sisters in Israel who so desperately need it are being able to receive it. But, it does have and again, it's not a complaint. It's just a fact of life.
And by the way, correctly, after October 7th, the needs for mental health has grown tremendously. You have so many families affected, whether they were victims, had members abducted, soldiers coming back. So you can just spend all your time just in Israel.
Well, we could, but we can't because we have an obligation. I mean, I will say, though, there is, what a lot of people don't realize, a lot of the work, even with the soldiers, are here locally as well in the United States. They come back, especially, again, our office in Israel deals with all these issues, but for English speakers. We make that very clear. The concept is we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There are plenty of people in Israel, whether it's students, gap year students, lone soldiers, families that made Aliyah, but English is the primary language, and to be able to access mental health services for the Anglo population. But then, they carry over. And one of the benefits that we say is, it started obviously, with the seminary gap year students, yeshiva students, where, you'll be assisted by an Amudim case manager, which is really what we're focusing now about, is to highlight the amazing work that they do, because they're really the boots on the ground. But you get a case manager in Israel that's, assisting. And then when the person transfers back to the United States, now it goes to a US-based case manager. So we have all the information is there. The databases are there. It's one unit. There's a continuity of care. Now that's happening at a much more rapid pace, but also back and forth. Somebody's in Israel. They come back. They're a lone soldier. They're off. They come home for a couple of weeks. They go back to Israel, or home is Israel. They come here for their temporary home to visit their families, whatever it might be. And that's just in addition to everything else that's going on. But even here, people that are scared to take trains to work in New York City, people that are on college campuses, it's just that the needs, the awareness of mental health is amazing, because more and more people know about it. But the types of needs that people have, it's just, we're living in very scary times. I have to say that. It's just
absolutely. So, by the way, maybe at this point we should just give people an overview what Amudim does on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. So, it's one of those things where we always try to bring it back to our core mission statement. But basically, Amudim is an organization that is designed to provide comprehensive clinical case management. I'll get to that in a second. For those that are struggling with mental health issues, victims of sexual abuse, those struggling with addiction. The system is basically, we're not a referral service. All of our staff are all clinicians. They're all mental health professionals, all trained, went to school. And the idea is that if somebody's reaching out for help, the person that's helping them and helping guide them, and for lack of a better word, being the quarterback to assist with everything from setting up a family intervention, helping to set up a detox, setting up a proper therapist, proper treatment program, aftercare, dealing with the grocery store because the primary breadwinner might be going for treatment and someone's got to, deal with them, or dealing with the schools to explain why tuition won't be paid for a few months, or whatever it might be. That all falls onto the quarterback, or in our case, the clinical case manager. And the difference is that, we all know people that have been to therapy, myself included, when I was younger, where I might have gone to a therapist for a few months before realizing this just wasn't working. And there are people that spend years doing that. And with a case manager at someone's side, getting that call every week, getting that call as a follow-up, both the clinician, the client, the family members, obviously based on the ages of the client, obviously they will have to be consent. We're very strict about, maintaining HIPAA, especially in the sensitivity that we deal with on a very, very minute by minute basis. But that's the difference. If we hear from a client within a few weeks, it's just the shidduch isn't working. The therapist, something, then we'll pivot and try to find somebody else. We'll try to address the clinical part as quickly as possible. And it's not just that. It's also that when the clinician is the case manager, it gives people a more feeling of comfort that the person that's working with them is someone who understands. But then it's also setting up for all the rest of the family. If it's a husband, we got to deal with the wife and the kids. If it's a kid, the parents also. It's a package deal. So our goal is to really help implement and provide the support and the tools that's needed from when they're beginning their journey to healing until ultimately they are, I always say this, people go from victims to being survivors and then ultimately thrivers, or people that, go from addicted to being sober. And we'll stay by their side. It could be years, it could be months, it could be weeks. There's really no limitation. There's no set amount like, we can only help you. Now, we do have other systems and services that unfortunately we had to scale back on. We have this fund that helps pay for subsidies for those who are suffered trauma, victims of sexual abuse. And whenever we have a client that's approved for funding from that fund, we move that set amount of money to a separate account so that will always be available for the client. No matter what happens, that money's not being touched. Unfortunately, with all that's been going on, we have had a very hard time taking on new clients for the fund because we need the money in the bank in order to do that. So, those are like certain components of things. But at the end of the day, we are doing on the case management, which is our bread and butter. I like to remind people, we're not the First National Bank of Amudim. We're Amudim Community Resources. We try to provide the best we can. And that's really why we have this upcoming campaign. And we're just really hoping that people can step up and be there for us. And we understand the times are like never before. I mean, you see this yourself, you're involved in so many, Avodas HaKodesh projects. It's just
Money
it's
is tight and people are complaining they're cutting back and businesses are cutting back. It's out the economy. So maybe this point should tell people, Amudim, listen, it costs money to provide all the services that you do, including it in Israel. What kind of budget are you dealing with and how much are you looking to raise?
So last year, the estimated budget based on that year's expenses was supposed to be around $10 million for this year, where it looks like we're going to be closer to 8.3 for 2024. And that's just the reality of the times. Our campaign,
You're cutting back means that you said you're cutting back on some services.
We don't really have much of a choice. So the bread and butter services, the case management, that we're not, we're doing the best we can. And if we raise additional money, we'll hire some additional staff. That's an area that's our focus. We would very much love to reopen, the subsidy fund and take on new clients for it. We would love to. So we're estimating 8.3 for this year. Again, hopefully, God willing, we'll be able to go closer to 10 for next year and then continue the growth as we've been seeing over the last, 10 years. This campaign is going to be looking to raise $4 million. That's going to be, that's our goal. Some people are saying, well, you've been historically trying to raise $5 million for the last few years. And that's true. We have. This campaign is a Lifeline campaign, which we call this is the money that really keeps us going. We have to raise money during the year for other things, but this is like when we know our operating expenses, our budgets are being covered. This is that money. We know we can move forward and, to live another day, as we'll call it. But we did lower the bar this year, which is something that personally, was a sign of the times and reality. We are really hoping that people will come to the website, make donations, give what they can, and
let's give out the website right now. We'll give it again at the end, but let's give it again now.
Sure. UniteToHeal.com. As simple as we could have made it. Let's all unite to help our brothers and sisters heal. UniteToHeal.com. And, we are going to be providing some amazing content over the last few years. We've put out some really, really amazing, content, whether it's educational, segments, whether it's musical segments. So this year we're going to be displaying the best of all of the content that we've had and really put it together. You can go to the website as well and actually go through the listing of all the various segments that are going to be played. And people can actually click and say, notify me if they find something of interest that they want to watch or tune into. They can put it in. They'll get a message notification before that, segment goes.
And you're making it fun because while it's a serious cause, but you're also giving people quality entertainment that they could really benefit and the kids can benefit by. There needs to be more quality Jewish entertainment.
Right. So we also tried to do it in a way that we tried being as best as possible as far as the timing of certain segments. Like if it's something is going to be more like not as child friendly, we'll call it. So that's going to be, it's a 36-hour campaign. That's going to be more on like during the day on Monday when kids are in school, and we tried making it that when, the younger generation is home, we have more of the musical segments that are going to be presented both in the morning and in the evenings. So, we tried very, very hard this year. And I have to say the staff at Amudim and the people that have been dealing with, doing this, and it's not really something I like to just give a shout out. We have the entire team, starting with my CFO, COO, Devorah Pellman, who's been amazing, and our clinical director, Miriam Lankry. For those, compliments is just something I love hearing about my staff when people say these people are doing a great job. And then for the campaign itself, we have our person who deals with all of our web and social media. Tzipi Landau really undertook this year's campaign, bull by the horns, putting it all together beautifully. And Chayla Kaufman and her team, I believe, you've dealt with them, very often. They've really pulled out the stops. And now we go back to the public and say, we've put in a lot of effort to be able to provide a interesting, enjoyable, content-filled campaign, saving as much of the cost as we can. And our goal is to raise the money so we can continue doing what we do, and we cannot do it alone. And we understand it's tough. But we still have to say to people, we're urging you, whatever people can give is appreciated. Is, whatever amount it is, we just ask for people to provide us the help so that our case managers, who really, I say this proudly, I'm not going to, start going through all the names of all the case managers, but those that know, it's on the website and it's on the Unite to Heal site, but they really are the front lines. These are the men and women who truly give up. I mean, the workload, the things that they hear that they have to live through every single day is really, really tough. And in order for them to do their jobs, we need to show that we're doing ours and supporting this cause and helping people heal in the best professional, responsible, safe way.
No, and by the way, it's so important that people get involved and to help you. And there are more issues, and maybe you know better than anybody else. And while we highlighted the sexual abuse and some of the trauma, some of the other issues, one of the things that I've heard a lot more this year is suicides in the community. It's a terrible tragedies. I've heard of a whole bunch of them. You probably know more about it than I do. And it's something also we have to be so vigilant in trying to prevent and trying to work with families and try to work with troubled people to try to avert that as much as we can.
So yes, suicidality, and death by suicide has really, really been something that, I could say, have they gone up, or is it the same, or is it, I always say, I hate, and we do it because we have to, but I hate numbers. I hate numbers. Why do I hate numbers? Because
personal.
it's not about numbers. It's one of those things where, like, unfortunately, people are struggling, and to start turning it into like a numbers game is really something that's very, it's very worrisome. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, it is. So we try to be very, very careful, as well as, using, we're trying to change some of the verbiage to make it a little bit easier to deal with. And there's a big push for media also to stop sensationalizing it and stop trying to come up with the cause and the factors. There are so many risk factors. There are so many various causes. They just all bits and pieces. And at the end of the day, it's a very, very sad thing. But yes, we have seen, I mean, suicidality has been the 11th leading cause of of death in the United States. There's been over 1.7 million attempts 2 years ago compared to 1.6 million the year before in 2022, and year to date, that number has already been surpassed. In 2022 alone, there was, I think, if my numbers are correct, I think it's about 49 to 50,000, that Americans who died by suicide. That number in 2023 was about 8,000 higher than that, and then now it's even greater year to date, which is just something that we need to really, really, keep in mind. And again, it's one of those things where that's just another concept of, what could we do to prevent it? So there's no magic wand for anything. It's really a combination of everything: the prevention that we attempt to do, the education, the awareness, the clinical assistance, the case management. I mean, we say it takes a village. It takes a lot more than a village to help people, and we need to all be in this together. And it's not, and I always say, some people can help with money, others can help with helping to raise awareness, others can help by getting their kids' schools to accept programs. I mean, again, I always say it doesn't have to be our programs. There are plenty of things out there that can help. I mean, ours is obviously going to be the best, because I have to say so, because my education staff on the Dachenu side of things, the Dachenu curriculum has been hailed as one of the best curriculums in preventative measures, and our team that put that together and that's running it day to day are just an amazing team of people. We're in over 100 schools right now. It's been approved by some of the leading rabbanim to make sure that it's culturally sensitive. However, it's not, it's built around evidence-based components. So yes, prevention is going to be the key to all of this, but we have to be there on both sides of the coin. Sometimes people complain, say, "Oh, you're biting off more than you can chew."
You have no choice. You have to.
What do we do? I mean, I'm not going to lie. The education part wasn't supposed to be Amudim. We tried getting many other organizations, good organizations, to undertake it once we did the research and realized what it could be. But from a financial standpoint, it was very difficult for them. And I will say that, Mendy Klein, Olav Shalom, who was, our partner and founding chairperson, and who, Amudim is really built around the vision of he had foresight for things that just as no words can describe. It was actually the last phone call the day that he passed away, which was in 2018, like Bomer. I'll never forget it. We had a board meeting on the phone, and I even know where I was because I was in Miami for a wedding, and I was in the Apple store trying to get something fixed or replaced, and I was on the phone there, and we presented the entire package of the school-based education program, and he was the first one to jump at it and say, no, we have to do this. It doesn't matter about money. Prevention is the key. So people ask me, like, why are you so focused on this program? Well, yes, I am focused on it because it is the key, but it's also the last, conversation I had with the person who's my hero, who really took Amudim and made it what it is. And I have to just say a big thank you to, his wife, Lahabdo Ben Chaim Ita has been a tremendous, tremendous support, as well as all the kids and the grandkids now. But, we got to do this and keep his memory alive, keep his vision going, and try to put out the fire from all sides. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish.
We're speaking with Zvi Gluck. He is the CEO of Amudim, do amazing work in helping with mental health, trauma, sexual abuse, other issues affecting the community. We're going to be right back right after these messages. And if you want to chime in, you can always call us at 212-769-1925, 212-769-1925. If you know people who need help or you yourself have experience what Amudim has done, we love to hear from you. Again, that's 212-769-1925. Email is a wonderful way to get some of your questions answered. Zev at talklinenetwork.com. Coming up later on, General Amir Avivi. He's a Brigadier General Reserve. He's a potential prime minister candidate for Israel. We'll look at the Beeper War and what happens next. You don't want to miss that. All upcoming here on the Talkline Network.
Shattered, lost, drowning, struggling to keep their head above water. Hope, once a flicker, now extinct. Their pain is a silent storm, invisible to the world, so utterly alone. Then Amudim steps in. A dedicated clinical case manager becomes their anchor, personally on their case from the moment they reach out. These aren't just voices on the phone. They're trained experts who stay with them and their family, supporting and advising every step of the way to healing. Daily check-ins ensure they're not just surviving, but moving forward. When they can't see the path, Amudim illuminates it. When they stumble, Amudim steadies them. Amudim, not a helpline, a lifeline upholding hope and uplifting life. Will you be a part of saving lives? Please go to unitetoheal.com for the best of Amudim 36 hours of entertainment. Feel free to check out the full 36-hour schedule at unitetoheal.com and join the fun. And more importantly, help Amudim save lives, case by case. unitetoheal.com.
The Kalbach Shul invites you to attend their annual special tzlichos in the Kalbach tradition, seeking forgiveness through song with the one and only Yehuda Green, hosted by the Kalbach Shul, sponsored by Royal Passover, Saturday night, Motzei Shabbos Kodesh, September 28th, at the Westside Institutional Synagogue, 120 West 76th Street, between Amsterdam and Columbus Avenues in Manhattan. And proceeds will be used to further the activities of the Kalbach Shul. Doors open at 12:30 a.m., 12:45 a.m. Rabbi Naftali Sitman speaks. Priority seating is $50. VIP seating is $180. Minimum donation of $20. No charge to Kalbach Shul members. To reserve, go to thekalbachshul.org. Don't miss Slichas with Yehuda Green.
Best wishes for the new year from your friends at Marvid Poultry. For the last 60 years, Marvid Kosher Poultry has been providing the cleanest, finest, and tastiest chickens, turkeys, ducks, and Cornish hens for discriminating kosher customers. Marvid also has the most kosher supervision, including the OU, MK, and Isachtis as well. So start the new year by making sure Marvid is on your family's table. Available at the finest kosher supermarkets. A good year and a Chag Kosher V'Sameach from Marvid Poultry. Ancient tradition, today's taste.
Stell sich vor eine Arbeit, wo jeder Tag ihr machen einen Unterschied, wo jeder Tag ihr wachsen deine Karriere und verstärken andere. Direkt stützen Professionals sind die Championen, was reden für und stützen Menschen mit Entwicklung Disabilities. Sie sind die Menschen in unseren Kihios, was sind mit keinem Missia, was ist größer für eine Arbeit. Kommt zusammen mit uns auf den Weg. was können übermachen Lebens, reingerechnet an eigene. Anwenden zu seiner Direktstützen-Professional bei directsupportcareers.com. Es ist Gresse von Arbeit. Das ist dein Mission. Rosh Hashanah and the Jewish holidays are coming, and it's time to celebrate with the authentic taste of Israel. Eben Zahav brings you the finest wines and spirits straight from the Holy Land. For a sweet new year, indulge in Eben Zahav's exquisite Goldstone Jerusalem of Gold orange liqueur, a unique blend of Galilean brandy and natural sweet and bitter orange essence. Or savor the new premium Eben Zahav single vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon, aged to perfection in French oak barrels. Its aroma of black fruits, vanilla, and oak will transport you to the vineyards of Israel. Looking for something truly special? Try our super smooth arak, the Israeli rum loved by everyone, or the Eben Zahav brandy VSOP in a luxurious gift box. And don't forget our award-winning Merlot, Cabernet, and the ever-popular Eben Zahav vintage. So this Rosh Hashanah, make a l'chaim to life and let your spirits be lifted up with the finest Eben Zahav kosher wines and spirits in the world from Israel, from Doina Limited. Hashana Tova to you and your family from Doina. Don't let your home go up in smoke. A dirty chimney or dryer vent is a fire hazard waiting to happen. Protect your loved ones and your property with Clean My Duct. We offer a full range of professional cleaning services for your ducts and chimneys, keeping your home safe and healthy. Our quality, affordable services are available throughout Rockland County, Monroe, Westchester, the Catskills, upstate New York, and northern New Jersey. Breathe easier knowing your home is free of dust, allergens, and fire risks. Be responsible. Clean your ducts today. Call Clean My Duct at 845-204-3828. That's 845-204-3828. Or visit cleanmyduct.com. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 845-204-3828.
Tired of foot pain slowing you down? Hi, I'm Dr. Uriel Levy, a board-certified podiatrist with 33 years of experience, here to get you back on your feet. And great news, Brooklyn. I just opened up a brand new office in Flatbush at the 1911 Avenue L Medical Center of Dr. Kogel. I specialize in orthopedic and medical foot issues, crafting and prescribing custom-made orthotics from between 75 to 100 patients every week. That's a lot of happy feet. For those who have Medicaid managed care, orthopedic shoes would be covered if you are in medical need of custom-made orthotics. Whether it's plantar fasciitis, bunions, or just everyday aches, don't let foot pain hold you back. Also, I practice reflexology, combining my knowledge of feet and lower extremity issues with Eastern medicine. I like to think of myself as a soul healer, not just a podiatrist. Visit my new Flatbush office at 1911 Avenue L, right across from the Women's Mikvah, and around the block from Young Israel of Midwood. Or my Borough Park office at 1453 44th Street, or in Muncie at 4 Horizon Court. Please call me at 917-930-5800. That's 917-930-5800, or visit dr.soulhealer.com. The easiest way to schedule your appointment is through 917-930-5800. Your feet will thank you. Remember, the Shalosh Regalim are coming up. You need to be Ragle Mevasir. Let your feet bring good news this year. Yeshua's in the Chamas for all of Klal Yisrael. Don't give in to defeat.
Concept of Moving and Storage, family owned and operated since 1985. Licensed and insured, offering you full service, packing and unpacking for your comfort and peace of mind. Honesty and customer service are our main goals. Call us now for free estimate. 1-800-USA-MOVE, which is 1-800-872-6683, or local number 718-443-7700. Our sages said, change your place, change your muzzle, for good and for blessing.
And before we get back to our program, if you are a shul looking for a rabbi, let me know. We may be able to help you for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And we also represent a major kashrus organization wants to do a Pesach program as far as giving supervision, being involved. Contact me at zev@talklinenetwork.com if you are interested in having a Pesach program with a well-known national hashgacha being part of that. And reminder, we had our last interview with Alan Dershowitz, was almost 1 million views on YouTube. So if you haven't caught it yet, check us out on YouTube. We're going to try to get some of your phone calls, 212-769-1925, 212-769-1925. Email zev@talklinenetwork.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode of
Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981. Please call us with your questions and comments at 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925.
And we're back. Zvi Gluck Rabbi Zvi Gluck is with us. He is the CEO of Amudim. They do amazing work dealing with all kinds of problems, whether it's addictions, whether it's sexual abuse, suicide, all kinds of things afflicting our mental health issues, primarily affecting our community. Let me ask you this. What about drug addiction, alcohol addiction? It seems that we're seeing a lot more of that, especially alcohol. I hear at kiddush clubs, and these are things which young people are participating in, and at least all kinds of problems. And how is the Amudim dealing with it?
So yeah, it's interesting. In 2019, we were starting to see a decline in numbers. Things were getting worse, but I'm talking about the Amudim numbers, the amount of clients coming to us for help. And then throughout COVID, it started increasing heavily. Alcohol especially, and especially daytime alcoholism, and very often by women. I mean, I can't blame them, but like being home with the kids, trying to manage 17 Zoom sessions per day from 3 different, things were getting rough. And we're also noticing the fentanyl, heroin overdose rates have started increasing. Again, they were going lower and lower, and then they started shooting right back up again. It has been very, very difficult. We're doing the best that we can. We like I said, we've done as much awareness as we could, but not as we could. As we've done much awareness, we can always do more. Let me say that again, we can always do more awareness. We have put out some very, very powerful PSA videos over the years that we're going to start promoting again and pushing them out again, because they're just as important now as they were. One is called the Kiddush Club, speaking exactly about, what you're discussing. Then we have, what we could have done, as well as, the drug reality. And those are just 3 of our 8 PSAs that were award winning. And,
how's the legalization of cannabis, for example, in New York? How does that affect our community?
So it's an interesting, we have to break it up into categories. If somebody's an adult, their brain is fully developed, which is really over the age of 25, but that's a separate discussion. And they're going to use something that's legal and use it in as safe a way as possible. There's not much I can suggest or say or do. The real question is, is it a gateway drug? Is it a gateway drug? You'll have experts on all sides of the coin saying different things, all of it. One thing I know for sure, the question people should really ask themselves is, am I using this to run to or to run from? And that's really what it boils down to. If somebody is using anything, I don't care what it is, it could be any substance or action or activity, because they're running from something else, there's no chance that it can be good for them. Because the chase never ends. Whatever the person is running from, whether it's trauma, whether it's financial issues, marital stress, anything, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get rid of it by running away. Sometimes people are using something, because they're looking towards something. Again, I'm not going to say that's great, but most people that I know are running from. As far as accidents, car accidents have increased, even though everybody said it would decrease. Crime has not decreased since the legalization. Well, I guess if you're realistic about crime, not if we're fudging the numbers to show that certain cities are doing better than others, but in reality, criminal acts have gone up. Abuse of it there's use and there's abuse. There's different categories. We can do a whole segment just on that. But from a practical standpoint, has gone up. And as far as teenagers and in schools, it's like, well, it's legal, so what's the issue? Or my parents do it, why can't I? And it's like I tell people, lead by example. We all have to. And just because something is legal doesn't mean it's good for you. And I'll use alcohol as a perfect example. Alcohol is legal. How many people remember the reason why alcohol became legal? Zev? Prohibition era?
Prohibition era was, in fact, there was a big thing with alcohol in shuls during the Prohibition era. Then
Well, that's
it was
because they were allowed to. The shuls had a dispensation, sacramental,
and a lot of shuls that popped up because of that too.
Right. But the point was, it became legal because of so much criminal activity and underworld activity that it was just easier for the government to legalize it. Again, if somebody can drink responsibly, and I always tell people, moderation is the answer, not prohibition. Let's call it what it is.
Well, that's true, by the way, of internet addiction, alcohol, all kinds of addiction.
Everything. There's a line in a song I heard years ago, too much of anything makes you an addict. And that's true. Moderation is the answer. But there's also the answer of education. If somebody's doing something and you have kids, teenagers, or even younger, they know about it, even if you don't think they do. And this is really a message to the people that are, using various substances where their kids are aware of it. Kids think it's okay. I mean, the Kiddush Club example is sadly, even the video that we put out, the focus on it is not so much the drinking of the guy. The focus on it is the effect it has on the family, on the children, on the spouse, on the home in general. There's so much more going on in the picture that people just fail to look at. So yes, alcoholism, addiction in general, substance abuse, the numbers are definitely on the rise. They definitely are. And really, I think what we have to start with is education, proper education. Education to the parents first and foremost, because they're the ones the kids are seeing it. Education's in the schools. I know a lot of schools don't want to educate about it. If we don't talk about it, it's not real.
Well, you have a hard time getting schools to educate the kids or working with you in doing those such programs?
So that's actually been much easier the last year or two than it ever has been before.
Why?
But I guess, but it's more on the middle to left schools, not the ultra yeshivish, Haredi yeshivas yet. But I guess at the end of the day, our educators do really care. And I have to say that they find a very hard balance of like, what's the responsibility of the school? What's the responsibility of the parents? But they do care. So some of the yeshivas, that have realized, listen, it's time to step up. We got to do things. We got to take it, we got to really get in there. And they're starting, and we're seeing more and more. Again, it's like, people always say, before Purim is when people do all the ads on drinking. I said, yeah, I think that's a little ridiculous, because then we make it like it's a problem one day a year. What about the rest of the year? Let's put that same effort on the pre-Purim ads and doing it, save the money from that blast and do it one a month for 12 months, get the same information out there. But yes, the more that schools are realizing it, the more they're realizing, listen, our children spend the bulk of their waking hours in school. That's where the most of the day is. And the schools have to be a partner in all types of education and really life skills in general. But we are noticing it getting a little bit easier, but we could still use a lot of help. And if parents can help, influence the school's decisions to be more open-minded and allow various different types of programming in, it would certainly be definitely a step in the right direction.
No, well, listen, it's so important, and drinking and drug consumption and all kinds of internet addiction. These are all things that you have to deal with. What's your biggest challenge? Which area do you find it the most difficult to work with?
Raising money. No, and I mean that seriously. If people go facetiously, our recipe for all the issues that we deal with is pretty much the same. Providing comprehensive clinical case management and support is conceptually, it's the same for whatever the underlying issue is. The biggest challenge is, I would say, denial, not by the person who is using it, but by the other affected individuals. That's probably the number one challenge. I mean, really, like, my husband's not so bad, my wife's not so bad, the kid's not really doing it. And it's usually coming from the same thing. And this is something you and I have spoken about so many times over the last 10 years. And I have to say a big thank you to you as well. You've been, literally inviting us on, talking about topics long before it was okay to discuss it.
We got a lot of criticism over the years.
Yeah, and I say, people don't remember, and I do remember, but the Akaras HaTov, and for you, it's a risk, right? Losing advertisers, people complaining, call race being written. So I just want to say, on behalf of the people that have been benefited, and we have received calls after every episode that we've ever done together, especially not the fundraising episodes specifically, but even the ones where we talk about the issues, and we've done plenty of those. We have gotten many calls afterwards. I heard this on the Zev Brenner, something we can do. Can we talk? Can I get help? So just so you know that what you've done for us or for Klal Yisrael certainly has gone a long way. So I just want to take a moment and be makar tov for that.
No, I thank you because you're the conduit that people are being helped on a regular basis, day to day, 24 hours.
Certainly.
You're all hours of the day. Something like you can be 1 o'clock in the morning. People are calling you.
And that is absolutely true. But I'm just looking here now. I'm logging in for a second, just because I like to give information as accurate as I possibly can. So let me just see over here the trend. I'm a little bit of a data freak. So to date, we've assisted 19,143 individuals that have reached out for help.
Wow.
We can look at some of the timelines on this and see, how things are getting better, worse, which issues we're dealing with more and less. And we can really break it down in tremendous ways. Because Amudim is most known for sexual abuse, because when we initially started, that was like the main focus of destigmatization. That is always going to be the number one thing people call us for, because that's what we're known for. But the next thing is addiction, street drug addiction, prescription drug addiction. Again, the difference, just so you know, from the way we categorize it, is it could be the same drug, but is it prescribed to a person for a legitimate purpose and they then fell victim to it, but they're still in that prescription phase, meaning we still have a doctor we can talk to, or are they past that phase where now they're using the same substance, but they're getting it on the street, alcohol addiction. So those are like the second primary category. The most difficult, when I say money, is not just money for Amudim, is when we have somebody that is ready for the help. And we get through the barriers of the stigma. This is what I was leading to when I said what we initially spoke about was the S's, shidduch, stigma, shidduch, stigma, shidduch, stigma. Those are the S's that are the dirtiest words in the Jewish language. Really, the one dirty word is shidduch.
Well, that's why they don't want to go for help, because they're afraid of stigma.
But now let's look at it this way, right? Somebody finally overcomes the stigma, overcomes that issue. The family's accepted. The person's ready to get help. Their insurance doesn't cover something decent. They need to go someplace. Programs could sometimes cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And then, if we were to raise money for every client that reached out that needed help for rehab, we'd have to raise about $80 million a year. And yes, we have cheshboned it.
Wow.
Over $80 million a year.
Wow.
Now, most people, will help them set up a page to raise the money. We'll do whatever we can to help. There's only so much that we can realistically raise. But when we have people that are ready for the help, and money is what stops them from getting the help that they need, that is the most difficult thing for me.
So let's talk money, because you're involved in a campaign, a 36-hour campaign, to raise money for Amudim to help you with your services, whether it's addiction, sexual abuse, mental health, caseworkers, where you're working with people. Could be for years yet you're spending time with individuals trying to help them. It's not a quick fix solution where just overnight. Some people quicker, others take much longer. So you're looking to raise about $8.5 million this time.
Oh, I wish. Yes, we are. Anybody who wants to give us as much. The actual campaign goal is $4 million, because we set a goal for it. But no, if we can raise the 8.3 that our budget's going to come in at this year or more, we would be very, very thrilled. But we have
the more money you raise, the more work you can do, obviously.
100%. It's really a question of scalability. It really, and that's, and it's interesting. I say something, and I tell this to people all the time. when people have a business, right, and they want people to come to their restaurant, so they advertise. Most people that open a business will tell you it's going to take X amount of years for them to be able to break even. But the investors understand it. It's part of business. When it comes to the world of nonprofit, we don't have that benefit. We don't have that luxury. If people see that we're spending money on what I call the investment portion, right, to get more people to give money, because the more that people give, the more we can help. Why? You're spending so much money on this, too much. I want my money to go to services, not to marketing, not to advertising. And it's like, and the other dirty word in the nonprofits, and Zev, you know this very well, overhead. What does that mean, overhead? Yeah, we shut down our office in Manhattan. We saved overhead. People are working remote. Overhead is a cost of business. In order to be able to successfully be there to help people, it's an expense. But that expense has become such a dirty word in the nonprofit world. So we're always like playing with that. Like, we need to raise money because we need to continue our services. Really, we need to also raise money so we can take a portion of it and use it to invest in the future so that we can raise more money so we can help more people.
It takes money to make money.
But it's a very, very fine balancing act.
Here's a problem, Zvi, and you know it better than anybody else too, is that if nonprofits were to operate more as a business, in the sense to have a business-like structure, they would do better than just being nickeled and dimed.
I can go a step further. If nonprofits can operate like a business, the ability to put an end to these issues would actually be within reach. And I'll explain it in a very simple component. How much money is spent a year in the world on poverty? Billions, trillions of dollars. Yet the needle of poverty hasn't moved. It's the same percentage. Homelessness, but yet it's the same percentage. Because at the end, and I'm saying this is not my geniusity. I watched a YouTube clip on this. I'm blanking out on the person's name, but he was brilliant on it, on a TED Talk. I should really look up the name at the next break. I'll give it to you if you want to put it out there. But the point is, we don't have that luxury. If we want to do something to be able to do more, we're penalized. I mean, the best example somebody said to me was, Disney did a movie for what, $200 million, and it was a box office failure, right? They lost everything, whatever the movie, I forget the movie, but whatever it was. Yet, if an organization raises money and spends too much to do it, the Attorney General wants to shut them down. It's a real issue, but but this is the issue that we're living with, and we're trying our best. There are some good people out there trying to change that needle. My friend, Maishi Hecht, one of the original founders of Charity. So he's been working on this mission for a while already to help it. And it's a mission I'm undertaking as well, because I understand the reality of it. We want to really put a dent in the issue. We don't want to just be the Band-Aid. But enough about the realities. Let's talk about our reality. And our reality is
36 hours, right? 36-hour campaign. So let's close out with that. Tell us about the campaign, how people can get involved.
So people can get involved by doing a bunch of things. Obviously, donate at unitetoheal.com. If somebody can make their own page and try to get others in their circle to donate, unitetoheal.com/join. Sign up, make your own page, spread the word. If it's not about money, help with awareness. Spread some of the videos, some of the PSA clips. Let's get people to understand that help is available. But really, those are the main things that we need for this campaign: is people to donate, people to help to get others to donate. And really, we just hope that we're living in very, very unprecedented times. We just heard, right before my segment came on, listening to the previous, talking about the war in Israel, the escalations, we have to keep them in mind. Also things like just so difficult. And we hope, in the spirit of coming up to Rosh Hashanah, Tshuva, Tefillah, Tzedakah, Mavinas Roa Gezerah, at the end of the day, we can just say, if people can please open their hearts and give tzedakah and make Amudim one of the priorities, it would be great. And even if they give other causes, also great. Let's pierce the heavens any way we can.
People have to get more involved, because until it gets into their backyard, then all of a sudden they wake up. But let's do preventive by giving to make sure that it doesn't end up in our own house, our backyard, in that merit. Amudim does amazing work. I know Rabbi Zvi Gluck for so many years. And like I said, day and night. He's absorbed by helping people. And there's always problems. There's never a shortage, unfortunately. So we commend you for the work that you're doing. Amudim has grown under your tutelage, under your watch, and people should give. Unite2heal.com. It's a great slogan for people to remember. 36 hours we're looking to raise. I can say 8 million, but is anybody doubling it? They used to be matching. Is that still a factor in fundraising, or not so much?
I'll tell you the truth. This year it is not, because we were not able to raise enough money in advance to make the match what it used to be. We are hoping, last year we had, at one point during the campaign, I remember somebody called me up and goes, the next $400,000 my company's going to match. So, we put it out during the day. If people call us with that type of good news, we'll take it as well. But at this point, we are doing a straight campaign, hoping to bring in as much as we can. I mean, I will say that in pre-donations, we've already, let me just take a look at this right now. In pre-campaign donations, we already have, which only started a few days ago, $62,000 has already come in. So we're at 1%. We have 99% more to go, but we just keep on going. And listen, whatever we are able to raise is what we're able to use. It's just simple mathematics.
Exactly. Thank you for all that you're doing. Great service to Klal Yisrael, helping all of us. So thank you for what you look forward to having you back.
Thank you very much. Good vach and aksiv vach simatova. And thank you again for your support from the early days and forward.
And continued success in helping people. That's really the key.
Yep. Amen. Thank you very much.
Rabbi Zvi Gluck here on the Talkline Network. When we come back, General Amir Avivi, Brigadier General, will